Hey friends, it's me. Sorry I'm running late, but it's Friday. This is the normal Friday feeling, let's be honest. Hey Laurel, 12 months of subscription. Holy wow, a whole year. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Exiled Faye, hello. Senator, hello. What's good? Hopefully you're doing good today. It is snow flurrying here. I'm not thrilled. Yumi027, hello! How are you? I'm doing pretty good. It's Friday, that helps. I'm running D&D tomorrow, actually, in the world that we're going to be talking about today. So, that's exciting. Just damp and drizzly here. Oh gosh, I would rather it be damp and drizzly. Honestly, we live in the part of Canada that's supposed to have less winter than all the other parts. Like, this is supposed to be the best, like, winter, essentially, situation. And we got our first snow early November, I want to say, which is really early for here. It doesn't usually hit, like, snow and stuff until mid-December. So, winter started early. We have one more week before the schools start having March break. And it's like, can we just have sun? Can we just have warmth? Do we have to have snow? And it's not sticking. I shouldn't complain. It's not sticking. It's just kind of blowing around out there, sort of just lazily. Although the longer it goes on, the more strength it seems to be gaining, which means it's going to stick at some point. And, you know, look at me. I clearly don't mind colds. You know, comfort is my aesthetic. I've got my hand socks. We got blue today. I've been wearing the blue ones a lot lately, apparently. I've got my house coat. I've got my warm blanket. I've got fuzzy socks. Like, it's fine. I just don't want to deal with snow anymore. And we're supposed to be flying, not next week, but the week after. And we didn't fly at Christmas because the weather was crazy. And it snowed out our flights. Or the cold was too cold for our plane to go anywhere. So we were all like, yeah, by the end of March, it'll be better weather, right? No, it's not better weather. But aside from that, I'm doing pretty good. Very climate changey. It is, like, every time we get, like, a really harsh winter, because we're not supposed to get really harsh winters here, at least according to people who've lived here for longer than we have. I'm like, oh yeah, but climate change isn't real, lol. Because it definitely is. We were supposed to get rain snow here, but it hasn't happened. If you like rain or snow, then I hope you get it, and if you'd rather have sun, then I hope you get that. I mean, Friday weather. I sincerely don't mind rain. I sincerely don't mind if it rains. Snow is a pain in the ass because it sticks around. I'm doing well. Just been a busy rainy day. Otherwise all good. Well, we are not winning the weather lottery here today. I hope it's been the good kind of busy, Yumi. I definitely know what you mean. I've been running around all week. This week has been crazy. But it's been mostly the good kind of busy. I did a lot of D&D stuff this week, which I don't normally do, but was super fun. So it was worth all the extra run around. I just hate the wind part. Oh, I know what you mean. It gets pretty windy around here sometimes. Like, scary windy sometimes. Blue is a pretty color. It's one of my favorites too. I mean, theoretically, all the colors are, like, equally comfortable. This one matches my shirt today. I don't know if you guys can see. Maybe if I go up a little higher. This is my Orphan Maker shirt from Critical Role. And the blue matches some of the color scheme. Hello, Angel Faye. Hello, Sophia Nerdy and Proud. How's it going? How are your Fridays? I know Angel Faye is significantly further ahead in time than we are, so how was your Friday? My only complaint with rain is I hate mud. That's a fair complaint, and it stays muddy around the house for a long time. Yeah, we try to contain all the weather stuff at the door. What's interesting to me is when we lived in northern Quebec, where they do get and expect a lot of snow, and it was salty all the time because they put salt everywhere. Here they don't seem to salt the roads really, which is weird to me. But I guess they don't understand winter as well. But there would always be, if you've ever lived in like a wintry place, there's like this sludge that is like a mixture of snow and salt that like drips off of your shoes when you first come in. So we always tried to contain that at like the doormats, but every spring we would have to give the doormats like we had these like, I call them mats. They're little like trays where you put your shoes. We'd have to scrub them like clean because they'd be all salt like crusted. We don't really get that here, but like I said, they don't really salt as much. They don't really do the industrial road salt here. They should, but they don't. At this point, I would much rather the rain go away. It's been raining for 2 days and the winds have just started picking up. Oh no, see, yeah. I don't mind rain, but if it's been like just dreary for so long, you want sun. You definitely want sun. It was nice. Currently eating lasagna. Angel Faye lasagna is one of my favorite meals. Friday was stressful and full of headaches, but it's evening now. I'm done with work and it's time to write. Well, I'm sorry to hear that your Friday was stressful, but I'm glad it's over. I hope you have a long and relaxing weekend ahead of you. And I hope the words flow for you. We're going to be doing some writing here as soon as I stop yammering, which is how I always spend the first part of stream. Moving next week, Yumi, good luck. It's a lot of packing and all the fun moving around. Moving is the worst. The weather has been pushing us back. Yeah, we moved into this house on a rainy day. It was not fun. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't like pouring down rain. It was more like a steady drizzle, but there was a lot of blood spatter? Mud spatter. There was no blood spatter. But lucky for us, my in-laws were helping and they have moved like a bajillion times. So we were at the old house getting everything ready and they were at the new house and they laid down tons of brown paper on the floor, just gently taped it to the floors so that we weren't tracking mud everywhere. So that like there was way less house cleaning to do afterwards. And I was like, thank you so much. 'Cause they must have spent like the night before getting everything ready. But it's extremely helpful. So, hot tip, lay down brown paper, just tape it down gently. And after you've moved everything in, pull it back up. And you can do that in your house too. Like your place that you're moving out of, you can do it on both sides. It saves so much time cleaning. A bit of extra prep because you have to lay down the paper, but you don't have to like scrub the floors afterwards. We have a thing for the dog to step through and dry his paws coming in the house, but it's not perfect. Oh yeah, I bet Puppy doesn't know. Pepper doesn't know that he's dragging mud everywhere. I'm in Sweden and I think one of the worst things about snow is how it reflects the street lights, so it covers the night in a dull, sickly yellow-pink tint. Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you mean. Because in the summer, when the street lights are on, it's even dimmer. Like, it's much dimmer outside, and you don't really notice them. But when there's snow on the ground, it reflects the light, and so first of all, it looks brighter. And, like, it reflects more light into our room at night, because there's a street lamp not far from our bedroom window. Which I have light-blocking curtains, but, again, imperfect science. But yeah, it's just this weird, like, it draws your eye to the outside, and it's this weird, like, light haze at night. It's so weird. If I don't catch him quickly, a smutty paws on the couch. Oh no! Have you ever thought of doing story series Bibles for your books? I'm semi-new to your channel. A friend has told me about you. Oh, well, welcome in, Yumi. I'm glad that you found me. I do have, let me switch my view. Hang on. Sorry, I'm a bit slow and pokey this morning. I do have some places on my website where you can, so it's megancutler.net. It's that URL that's like right beside me here on the screen. So if you look here at the top, you can't quite see it because it's hidden under the under the overlay. So this is where you can find all the freebies that I have. And if you go into, say, the Celestial Serenade, thank you. You can see a little bit of a description about what the book is about. And then if you scroll down, these are all the books that are out already. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's project reports, and there's also the SOS tag. So each project has a tag. If I go to the Aravalia Chronicles one, which doesn't have any books out yet, these are just kind of like holding splashes. There's a tag for that one too. So each project has a tag. And if you click on the tag, you can see all of the blogs and shorts that I've written for that particular tag. I have what I think of as my series Bible is notes. And so it's not really readable for other people. I keep that in my OneNote document. But what I do have posted on the blog, I've tried to make easy to find. There are also, so like if you wanted to learn more about Damarin, for instance, who is the main character in the Aravalia Chronicles, you can search Damarin intro, and it should pop up the information about Damarin. There's not all of the characters have intros. I know Silkfoot has one, so like if I put a space in it, because if I don't put a space in it, it won't work. There should be one for Silkfoot as well. Truth is Variable State, my Silkfoot intro. So, and a lot of the characters have tags too. If you check out the tag cloud, Damarin has a lot of tags, Rose has a lot of tags. And if you look at the project area, that's where you find most of the information on my books. So I do try to keep it organized. I don't have anything like, I know some people have World Anvil and stuff for their books. I don't have anything like that because mostly I don't know how to use Word Anvil. World Anvil, oh my god. Brain, it's happening already. It's something I would like to possibly do in the future, but I've heard that World Anvil has a bit of a learning curve, and I just have not had the time to dig into the coding that you need to learn in order to use that site. But I do, like I said, I do have things that I've tried to make it easy. I believe, too, if you want to see certain prompts by character, there's a list here on the side, so it's kind of hard to see because it's gonna scroll weirdly. You can check the prompts by character, or at the bottom there, you can check it according to setting. So, like, if you want to see everything that is, I haven't had enough coffee for this yet this morning, apparently. So if you wanted to see everything that I've written about Damarin, you could click on the Damarin tag. There's a significant amount because this man never shuts up. But then if you wanted to know according to, say, what's happening in the Aravalia Chronicles, which is my modern fantasy setting, you can click there, and it will take you to everything that's related to the Aravalia Chronicles. And then if you wanted to read them in chronological order, just pop down to the base of the page and go to the last page first. So yeah, and if you have any questions about a particular project, please let me know. There are redeems you can redeem for character lore, you can redeem for world lore, or you can just ask me about one of my projects, and I usually just ramble about it for like an hour. That was a very, very good question, actually, because I don't know that I've ever explained like how the organization of my website works. So that's how you can hopefully find things. There's a little bit of redundancy built in, just so that I know not everybody thinks about getting to places in the same way. So there's usually at least 2 different ways for you to find everything, hopefully. Just because I know that my organizational method isn't necessarily logical to everybody else. So I tried to make it if it seemed like a logical connection, I tried to put it somewhere physically on the site so that people could find it. There's always blood spatter when I move. I mean, I suppose it's inevitable that someone hurts themselves during the move, but you try to prevent it your best. I'm using Dan Harmon's Story Circle to structure my novel for April Camp Nano. Nice! I've not heard of Story Circle before, I don't think, but I'll have to look it up. That sounds interesting. I hate driving when there's snow laying everywhere. Double the sun. I know, I don't drive, but there are times in the winter when we're driving and I'm like, I don't know how Ghost can even, like, see anything. I've been learning more about my characters from a work in progress, learned some particularly interesting stuff about Ryan, but he says I'm not allowed to tell until I've actually written it in the project. I mean, that makes sense. Gotta keep your secrets. Most of my writing is done on Google Drive. Docs for books, slides for characters, and sheets for episode guide and lore. Microsoft Word subscription is just too expensive. So I have, back in the day, I'm old. Just for anyone who doesn't know this already, I'm old. Let's just establish this right now. Back when I was in college and dinosaurs still roamed the earth, I went to school for IT and networking. And one of the things that they gave us access to as part of our program was Microsoft Office Suite. It's Microsoft 2007, just so you guys know how spectacularly old I am. That's the version of Word I have, is Microsoft 2007. And they had a student license, like a group student license for the school that we were given access to. And it's never stopped working. It still works. Every time I get a new computer, it still works. So I have a dinosaur version of Microsoft Word, but it works. And that's what I use. I don't pay for the subscription. I wouldn't pay for the subscription. Because I think it's BS. And until my dinosaur old Microsoft 2007 stops working, I'll keep using it. But that's 100% valid. I know a lot of people use Google Drive and Google Docs. I use it for some things, just not my main novels. And any tool that suits you, really. I also have OpenOffice installed, although I don't use it as much as I used to anymore, because I think they've stopped. I can never tell if they've stopped supporting it or if it's just a different team now. But I do also have OpenOffice installed just in case I ever need it. Story Circle is like a modern version of the hero's journey with a strong focus on character. It's also called plot embryo method. Interesting. My method of plot outlining is very random for my brain, so I use Notion for writing outlines. Yumi, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I use Notion for writing outlines, a notebook for structure, the living writing app for drafting. Nice! See, yeah, everybody has their tools. I use OneNote for outlining and, like, my series Bible and all that, and, like, my character sheets and stuff, and then I just write everything in Word. But I also create a new document for each draft, so I can always go back and look. I know a lot of people like Scrivener. I've never tried it. So yeah, I mean, whatever works for you. The good old days when you actually bought programs instead of renting a license. Yeah, well, and I lucked out because I was in a computer program that they just gave us the whole suite. And every time I get a new computer, I'm like, this license is so old, it's not gonna work anymore. And it does. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about updating my program. You look at least in your 30s. I am. I'm kind of on the far end of my 30s. I'm too nice or rude. I apologize for that, for my own good. No. I appreciate that. I'm 37. I don't see any reason to hide it. I was born in 1985. This June, I will be celebrating my 20th wedding anniversary with the lovely Ghost Pepper. So that's how old I am. I shouldn't make too many dinosaur jokes. I'm not that old. I mean, I don't think I've definitely hit the part of life where my body is kind of reminding me that I'm not young and invulnerable like I was. Probably wasn't ever, but like I felt like I was in my 20s. You know, now I have a thyroid condition, and, you know, I have to actually watch what I eat because I'm lactose intolerant. But I'm not that old. I'm 37. I'll be 38 in June. But yeah, my philosophy is use whatever tools work for you. And I don't think that you should have to pay subscriptions for a bunch of, like, office tools. But that's what everything is moved to these days, is a subscription model. So, Fox, hello. You guys should give Obsidian a look too. I have a friend who swears by Obsidian. I haven't been able to figure it out myself. But a friend of ours uses it for all of his D&D notes and loves it. It looks like OneNote mixed with World Anvil. You can make all kinds of tables and chapters, link things internally, and it's really fantastic for keeping track of world building and notes. Yeah, it is free. Yeah, Obsidian is great. I think it's fairly new too. I am very entrenched in my ways. Thank you, Yumi. I appreciate. Yeah, we got married when we were basically babies, so I was there, Gandalf. I was there when the licenses were purchased. My way of writing outlines is just let the characters tell me info and start the story from there, and I can always go back and add or change later. That's kind of what I do too, except I poke my characters a lot and say, what goes in this hole? What goes in this hole? What goes in this hole? That sounds bad and is going to get blurped, but here we are. I personally swear by Obsidian. Nice! I'm glad it works for you. I pay for Office 365 for my business, and I use it for editing and last text polish, but I write in Scrivener. Yeah, no, totally. I think the new Office model is sort of designed for businesses, but unfortunately they lump. I could go on at length of how I feel about the way Microsoft manages everything now, because I think Windows is a hot pile of garbage because they just push the same Windows that's on my tower PC gets pushed to tablets and phones, and it's like they don't work the same. They're not optimized the same. When I was still on a laptop, all of the Windows updates would break my laptop every time because they're not optimized for the laptop. And so it's just this constant cycle of, if you're developing something for mobile, it should be developed for mobile. And if you're developing something for PC, it should be developed for PC. And so they do the same thing where they lump in, they use their business model on offices and on homes. And so it's convenient for one set of people. Like, the needs of a home user are not the same as the needs of an office user. But if it works for you, why mess with it? Exactly. I'm having a moment with my work in progress. The current scene is kind of dragging, but I haven't come up with anything to happen other than they get where they're going. Too bad they're not in a forest where I could pull a token and write millions of words about the trees. Exactly. You know what, though? If you're having trouble figuring out how they get to where they're going, just skip ahead to how they got there. You can always go back and fill in the rest of the journey later. Or, yeah, let us know where they are. We can throw some descriptive words at you. So today we are going to be talking about, over the past few weeks, I have been introducing Cryptonia, which is the homebrew D&D world that I created that my current D&D players are active in. So my idea for this world was essentially, instead of a single fantasy world, a galactic empire of worlds that use D&D mechanics, basically, to govern. So everything that you find in D&D, all the different races, all the different magic, all that, is in this world, except instead of each realm being like its own dimension, each realm is a planet. And in order to travel between planets, I've sort of disabled some of the interplanar mechanics of things like teleportation and astral travel, and instead the characters have to take hyperspace trains to get to their destination. And we've finally hit a point in the campaign where the characters had to choose where they wanted to go and deal with sort of the train network schedule situation and the fact that there's time. It takes time to get to places. I basically pitched this world as Indiana Jones in space, and everyone has loved it so far. So the main story takes place in a galactic empire called Ashvalerin, or Ashvale, which rose from the ashes of a previous, more developed, more modern civilization known only today as Cryptonia. The ending of the Cryptonian civilization is shrouded in mystery. So far, archaeologists have only been able to piece together cryptic bits of information, which is why they have started calling it Cryptonia. It's sort of an inside joke in the scholarly world that's stuck. No one knows what the empire was actually called. It's just now called Cryptonia. And so we have been working our way through the deities of Cryptonia, the Cryptonian pantheon, because that is one of the things the religion did survive into the modern day, into Ashvalerin. So the same gods are worshipped, the same stories are told. And so far, we've talked about the Celestial Mother, Alianath, who created the universe and all of the living things in it. And we talked about Neith, or Nith, the Reaper, who is the deity of death. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorites, which is Agas, who is the god of war. And Agas is particularly interesting because he was not born immortal. He was not born into godhood. He was not celestial or divinity by birth. He was a mortal man who so impressed Alianath, the Celestial Mother, that she took him as her champion, and eventually, possibly in order to prevent him from being reaped by the Reaper, she gave him the gift of divinity and ascended him to godhood. Ah, they're in the ruins of an ancient city. All the trees are dead. Well, you can spend some time describing the ruins. I don't know if you could get like 2 million words out of it, but you could get some. Ooh, ideas for ruins of an ancient city. Someone steps on the wrong rock, causing an avalanche that they must now run from that buries the city. That's a good one. I mean, I'm sure they're all good, but they are in the middle of some dangerous beast territory and have to fight escape. Also, if you want to use the somebody steps on the wrong thing, but you don't want it to, like, destroy the whole city, there could be a trap that they accidentally trigger that, like, traps them in a part of the city and they have to try and find a way out. Or releases something dangerous, and they have to deal with the dangerous thing. They come across warnings of an ancient curse and have to leave before they're cursed. They come across traps. There we go. Fox already said that one. Someone gets hurt, and they have to get help from a doctor. I'm not the most creative today, so that's all I can think of offhand. Those are really good ideas, Fox. It's funny because I've done a couple of these already. Stone Guardians and Injuries, so great minds. Exactly. My characters talk when they want to talk. I poke sometimes if there's certain things I won't force about. I mean, I feel you. I've learned when to strategically poke my characters. Some of them will volunteer information all the time, like Damarin usually. Although, interestingly enough, Damarin's been hanging around in my head since like 2003, 2004, so, you know, almost 20 years. And there are still things I don't know about him. The other night, he finally told me the story of essentially how he lost his virginity, which was interesting. Because I don't think it was like, this was my first boyfriend story. Because I think he probably had, you know, like high school flings and stuff. But he basically told me the story of like, okay, yeah, when I was in college, that I had a like ultra crush on this guy, and here's what happened. And it was an interesting story. But it was essentially the story of, you know, his first time. It could be that the ancient city is either semi-sentient and protecting itself. Ooh, I like that idea. Or there's an ancient secret in the middle that you come across that the Stone Guardians, Traps Magic are trying to protect. Silently listening and so far interested in both Faye's story and this D&D campaign. Nice, thank you. And please don't feel bad about lurking. This is ultimately a productivity stream, so if you're working on your own projects and you're getting stuff done while I'm yammering, please don't feel bad. That's what we're here for. My inner fantasy nerd is screaming in eternal joy. Yes! That's what we want, Yumi. That's what we're here for. Ooh, there's definitely a secret. Cheers, Exiled Faye. I'm glad to hear that. My coffee's getting cold already. I'm gonna have to go give it a quick zap. Because I talked too much. But, yeah, so this is what I wrote. This is the document that my players have. We'll just go through this quickly, and then I'll go give my coffee a quick zap and actually do some clicky-clackies, because I know that's what you guys are actually here for. A lot of my characters are going to be diving into this secret multi-book span. Nice! I like that. I like building up, like, bigger worlds over the course of many books. I mean, I've mentioned before that all of my books take place in a multiverse. So each series is separate and can be read completely separately, and you don't need to read all of them. There's no, like, you're not going to get a whole complete story if you read a series, because I hate that. Each series is whole and complete on its own. But for people who do end up reading, like, all of my stuff, it eventually all fits together in this giant puzzle. So it's kind of a, like, best of both worlds, hopefully. But I love that. I love developing stuff that you see little bits and pieces of it here and there, and it sort of all comes together, and then you have that aha moment of, like, oh, this is what that was talking about, and this goes with that. I love that stuff. I have characters that are very chatty and some aren't as talkative. I just don't want to push as much that they leave. I bribe many of my characters into telling me stories. I love reading that sort of thing. Me too, Sophia. What I hate is, and I've ranted about this before, like, I hate the Marvel model because I feel like they don't tell you a whole story in one series. They want you to watch all of the series in order to get a singular story. And I feel like that's not fair because I'm not interested in Captain America. I've watched, like, none of the Captain America stuff. Sorry. But I'm very interested in Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy and the stuff that feels more like sci-fi to me. I watch them all because my husband likes them and I do them to hang out with him. Except for the Captain America stuff. He watches those without me. But, like, I do like the idea of a bigger world and seeing bits and pieces of a world in stories. I just think you have to make each installment its own sort of satisfactory installment. And I've definitely seen, other writers who have done stuff like that. I don't necessarily think, I know Stephen King writes in a multiverse and I know all of his books fit together and I feel like he doesn't necessarily execute it the best because sometimes it feels like the Dark Tower is where all of his ideas go to die, but it's like there's proof of concept out there. Much more than a never-ending series? Exactly. Where I need to read or watch 50 stories? Exactly. Sometimes I just want one character's story. And then if I read another character's story and I'm like, oh, these are interconnected, that's so cool. Great, but then I don't want to feel like I have to go and read all 3 million books that were written in between them. I just want to be able to read the ones I'm interested in. So that's sort of my philosophy is I write science fiction and fantasy. I write kind of a bunch of different genres and all the stories connect somehow and you can get that connection hopefully by reading the ones that you're interested in. And there are going to be Easter eggs in there for the people who read them all, but if there's a series that you don't necessarily care about, it won't hurt you to not read it. You won't not get information for, like, the story, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to focus more on world building right now, and I think I don't want to publish until they're at least mostly done. Yeah, there's definitely a benefit to getting a series getting an ending to a series and knowing you're happy with all the details in it before you start publishing, because once you establish something in a published work, you can't change it anymore. I mean, the main purpose behind my buffer is just time. I wouldn't be able to do rapid releases if I didn't write a lot ahead of time, but there is a benefit to, like, when I started publishing The Celestial Serenade, I could say it has an ending. It has a consistent universe because I took care of all of that in the years leading up to the publication. Connected universes shouldn't require you to know everything at the books or movies. Preach. Preach. I'm reading Discworld right now, where only some books need to be read in a certain order, but you can skip the entire books, no problem. Yes, I've heard that about Discworld. I'm trying to get enough in one of the series to start reading them. I think I'm going to start with, I think it was either The Witches or The Watch, because my friend Wolf is, like, really, really into Discworld, and he really wants me to read the Watch books. So I've been trying to acquire them so I can read them, but I know that there's whole, like, charts that show you, like, which books go in which series, which I appreciate. Witches is one of the best series to start with. I will make note of that. I think I have one of the first ones for the Witches. So I think those were the two that I was looking out for, was Witches and The Watch. I cheated and changed some details in my mermaid story because I had to retcon stuff. I mean, that is one of the benefits of being self-published, is that if you really need to do that, you can. The Watch books are so good. It looks like I picked the two best ones to start with then. I think I prefer the Death series, though. One of my friends on Twitter mentioned that he really liked Mort, and that I should look at Mort, which I assume is the Death one. Because Susan is the best character ever. Interesting. I struggle with the first Witches book due to the massive victim blaming. Uh-oh. I have a work in progress with a slow build myself, and so far I'm working on character profiles because I'm trying to get ideas to finish writing chapter 1. I am a big character writer. A lot of my stuff flows from character. So I definitely think there's benefit in spending time with your characters, getting to know who they are, how they think about things, finding their voice. The hardest thing for me about starting a new project is always that I don't have my characters' voices down right away. So that first book, there's always a lot of editing in the opening chapters to go back and just infuse the character voices once I find them. But I'm a big, I definitely, I know you can, some people write from character and some people write from plot, right? And I'm a big character writer. Everything stems from my characters and from, like, their experiences and who they are and what decisions they make. I try to obviously make it clear that there are things going on in my world that aren't directly affected by my characters and that the worlds are bigger places and whatnot, but my stories all spring from my characters. The Death books are all super good, and City Watch are really great. Well, that's good. Those are kind of the ones that I'm focusing on first, because I know there's a lot of Discworld books. So Agas, let's just read over, there's not that much. Agas, also known as the Horned Warrior, is attributed with many names, but most common between them is Agas. Agas entered the Celestial Mother's service at some point during his adult life, which we're going to write about today. According to historical fragments, many men have borne the name Agas throughout history, and many were considered to be distinguished warriors or generals. It's difficult to say whether or not the name predates the gods, so no one knows whether these men were named for the Horn God or vice versa. It seems certain they were not all the same person. Religious stories agree that when the Celestial Mother chose Agas as her champion, his physical appearance was changed to mark the distinction. This is actually based on a mechanic in D&D. If a paladin takes the Oath of the Ancients and reaches level 20, they can actually invoke a class ability that allows them to take on an ancestral appearance that's tied to their oath. So that's what this is actually referring to, is that when Agas became the champion and became divinity, he was essentially transformed into his paladin oath form. He's described as a tall man with dark skin and dark hair. When the Celestial Mother named him her champion, a pair of stag antlers sprung from his forehead and his eyes took on the appearance of the star-studded void. Agas is usually depicted wearing heavy armor and wielding a sword, though legends often place other weapons in his hand. According to his followers, Agas was and is the greatest warrior ever to have lived. He was skilled with every form of weapon and known to be a master of tactics. He is worshipped as the god of war. Even today, military personnel are known to whisper his name before they enter battle, but he is also invoked by weary travelers who seek protection on the road or during their day-to-day affairs. Because he was born mortal, Agas is believed to look upon mortals more often and more kindly than the rest of the pantheon. Despite his so-called crimes, Agas is accused of killing the Reaper, which screwed with resurrection magic. Agas remains one of the most popular gods in modern-day Ashvaleran. Perhaps because he is so popular, there are many stories about the other gods desiring his company. Many believe that he and the Celestial Mother may have had some kind of romantic affair. Stories also indicate that the Seed Matron may have once coveted Agas's company, but was consistently rebuffed. There are even tales that place Neith and Agas as lovers and claim that Agas slew the Reaper because the Reaper proved unfaithful. Worshippers of Agas claim that the Horned God slew the Reaper because the Reaper had become a danger to mortal life. Stories make it unclear why the Reaper became dangerous. Some say that Neith went mad with power rather than Agas, and others say that the Reaper decided to end all mortal life. Still more claim that the Celestial Mother ordered Agas to slay the Reaper in order to preserve her creations, but unfortunately she was still forced to punish him afterward for the crime of slaying a divine being. Whatever the case, it is generally agreed that Agas did kill the Reaper, and this is the reason why necromantic magic ceased to function. Because in D&D, as many of you may know, healing magic and resurrection magic is considered to be the necromantic school. Which is why this whole setup works. What happened after is up for debate, even among followers of Agas. It's generally agreed that there was some sort of war. The Celestial Mother cast her former champion into exile, though she did not reclaim his divinity. Legends say that the Dragon Lord opposed Agas's exile and fought for him to maintain his rank among the Divine Council, and others say that the Seed Matron sided with Agas because his action saved all life within the universe, or perhaps because she wanted to win his favor. Either way, the war among the gods was considered devastating, and some believe it is ultimately the reason for Cryptonia's fall. So this is what we're doing today. With the other gods, I've basically created a birth story for them, which in the case of the Reaper and the Celestial Mother have been stories about them springing from the ether of the universe. But Agas's story will be a little bit different because it is the story of a mortal being approached by a god and the god being like, hey, you want to be a god? And my plan is, because I think this will be interesting, is to write the story first from the Celestial Mother's perspective of this is my champion, I have elevated him. And secondly, from Agas's perspective, because I think he probably sees his ascension to godhood from a bit of a different perspective than the Celestial Mother does. So that's the plan for today. I know I've yammered so much at this point. I'm going to take a quick break to reheat my coffee because it has gone just completely cold while I yammer. And then we're going to do a bit of clicky-clackying. I know you can't see it, but as soon as you said I can't find my character's voice right away, I immediately started clapping and said, thank you, relatable. It's tough. It's, you know, you don't... Tempest! Hey! How's it going? You want to sit down and instantly know everything about your character and be able to connect with them, but it takes so much time. And I think that's one of the things, like, whenever I start a new project, I was just thinking this morning, my Everyone's Child project, I don't feel as connected to it as some of my other projects, but it's young, it's new. I'm still getting connected to those characters. I'm still getting, like, their worlds sort of beneath me. Whereas a character like Dameron, who's been in my head for 20 years, of course I can sit down and write him instantly because I know him. He's, like, my best friend. He's been with me for so long, like, and he talks to me so easily. that it's like putting on a pair of old gloves, right? Everything just slides into place. So if you're struggling with getting a character on the page, do some practice. Like, it doesn't matter if those scenes make it into... Honestly, that's what these short story Fridays started as for me, was ways to practice new writing techniques, ways to get attached to new characters, to explore characters that maybe don't talk to me as often, to get a sense of that character voice, so that when I sit down to work on certain projects, it's much easier because I have sort of that basis for doing it. So don't despair if your first couple chapters with a character feel like pulling teeth. It does get better, but it takes so much time. My characters are my children, family, and no one can tell me otherwise. My characters are the main reason I write, and my main goal is for them to be happy with how I told their stories. Same. I feel the same for mine. A character does more than fill a role, but also tells the story to the reader. I might have took a line from someone, not saying, but hint, hint. And when a character you love dies, it hurts so much. For some books I've worked on, killing is inevitable. Feel the same. So I learned not to get too attached, but not even the protagonist, because they can literally die anytime or place. It's true. I cry when I kill my characters. People think authors like laugh evilly when they kill their characters, and maybe some do, but I cry. I cry through those scenes. Any scene my readers have cried through, I've cried through it 3 times more than you, because I had to write it, I had to edit it, I had to edit it again, and I probably had to edit it more times than that. So if you've read one of my books and cried, just know that I have cried a metric crap ton of tears over that same scene. Finished my unsettling short story about the book collector. Ooh, that sounds interesting, Fox. I treat my characters very much like creations of words. It makes me feel more like they're in my control. I'm glad you feel like your characters are in your control, because my characters are never in my control. Sometimes things end up differently than what I planned once I actually started writing something, but in the end, I find it empowering to always remember that it's my own work. That's a good point. You made it out of nothing. You reached into the ether and you pulled something into existence that wasn't there before. I made those changes to their characters, and I can either accept the changes and change how I write them back to what I intended. That's true. That's a decision that every writer does get to make. Except me. Except me with Damarin. I didn't get to make any decisions about that man. He made all his decisions on his own. Please send your angry emails too. But no, that is true. You can choose to accept what your characters want to do, or you can reject it and do what you originally wanted to do. Squanchy, hey! I don't need to meet Hot Senior in my neighborhood. Squanchy, how is it going? I'll definitely take a look at one of your books. Can't wait to read it. Well, thank you, Yumi. I really appreciate your interest. If you let me know if you're more interested in sci-fi or fantasy, I can point you towards which of my books are more sci-fi and which are more fantasy. I'm going to take that quick break, like I said, because we got to do clicky-clacking today. It's got to happen. So I will be right back. I own them. Glitter cannons! Heck yeah! Get those glitter cannons out. Terrible Novelist, hello, hello. Oh my gosh, a raid! I missed it. Terrible Novelist, thank you so much for the raid. Let me get you a shout out. Get those glitter cannons out on the double for the raiders. Welcome in. K-Links, hello, hello. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. Sorry that I was AFK. Stealth raid. You got me. I just needed to add some extra sugar to my coffee this morning because it was not it was not striking my tongue in as pleasant a manner as I hoped. Let me scroll up and see what I missed. Confetti Blast. Thank you so much for the raid. How was your morning? Were you raiding this morning and how did it go? If so, let me just see what all's here. Character death is something I'm terrified of with my current project, but I feel I owe it to my characters to finish their story. I just have to set my heart ablaze, grit my teeth, and move forward. That's true. If, I have tried to save characters from death before to no avail. If a character dies, you just gotta do justice to their ending, really. I need a confetti emote. Oh yeah, that's such a good idea. Confetti cannon. I have this for spraying naughty writers who don't take care of themselves. I feel like confetti and glitter is a different mood than the spray bottle, but the spray bottle is useful for people who need to take care of themselves. Writers are prone to forgetting to take their meds, drink water, eat food, sleep, take breaks. Fox, how dare you know me this well? How dare you call me out? So I go after them with my squirt guns and spray bottles to force them to take care of themselves. I appreciate when my chat takes care of me because I am prone to forgetting all of these things. It's very true. I think I mentioned, was it last week, but I was having a conversation with my husband about if we had a society where we no longer needed men. He was like, yeah, all the men would go live somewhere and never do anything because we wouldn't have to. And I made a comment about how would you feed yourself if nothing ever gets done? And he looked me dead in the eyes and was like, of the two of us, which has more trouble remembering to eat? Deep cuts, man, deep cuts. Yumi, let me know if you are at your computer, because I will let you know which of my series is the most fantasy, but I want to make sure that you're here, because I saw your message when I got back from break, but I want to make sure that you're here at keyboard before, or at device before I do the spiel, because I would hate for you to miss it. A lot of free rating about our history of family dogs, working on a dog story. Heartwarming, I hope. Aw, that's amazing. I mean, I feel like it's hard to write a not heartwarming story about a dog. I have taken my meds. You can tell because this little door is open. My doctor cut my dose this week, so I now have to cut my pills in half because I'm already at the smallest standard dose that they make for this pill. So I now have to cut my pills in half every night. So Ghost Pepper bought me a pill slicer yesterday to make that easier. But I appreciate the question because I did almost forget to take my meds yesterday. I got these little things so that if I forget whether or not I have taken my pills, I can look at them, and I leave the door open after I take it so that I can tell at a glance, yes, I took my morning dose. Because I'll forget. I'll check it like 5 times a day. You didn't miss anything, Yumi, because I was waiting for you to get back. You had said that you were interested in fantasy stories more, correct? A non-heartwarming story about a dog, Cujo. Fair. I've not read Cujo, but I have heard about it, and I doubt it is heartwarming. So if fantasy is your jam, my most fantasy story is Dreamer's Do Lie, which if I do the dream command, will bring it up for you. This is sort of my fantasy retelling of Dante's Inferno. I read Dante's Inferno many, many times to prepare for it. So if you are a fan of Dante, you will find some gems in there. Yeah, it's two books. So it's one of my shorter series. But it was the first time I did my own secondary worlds, my own like complete world creation. There's maps and stuff in there and everything. I don't want to say too much, but it features Kaylee, who is an innocent soul who has somehow ended up in hell, and she meets Armand, a newly damned soul who realizes what she is and decides to try and get her out. So that is on Amazon in both ebook and paperback format. The cover is, I think, one of my favorite covers that I've done with Molly, and one of her favorite covers that she's done with me. And it was our first time working together. So check that out. If you like lighter fantasy, sort of low fantasy, you could also check out the Island of Lost Forevers, which is sort of a portal fantasy. It takes place in our world, but a magical island appears out of the middle of nowhere, and some college professors decide to go check it out. So that one is, I may as well do the command, just for anyone who thought that sounded cool. And if fantasy is your jam, the Aravalia Chronicles, which I have been working on madly since I started streaming, is going to start publication next year, and it is a high fantasy story which is set in a modern world. And when I went to the blood clinic on Wednesday, I described it as, it's like Lord of the Rings, but you can get Starbucks after, and the nurse who was taking my blood draw loved it. So maybe I should use that to describe it now, but yeah, it's basically like if the Lord of the Rings made it to modern day. So you've got your high-rise buildings, you've got your magical creatures, and you've got magical FBI, which is what Dameron works for when the story starts. So those are my fantasy projects. Thank you, K-Links. Yeah, I sometimes I really freeze when people ask me what my books are about, because I write these. I don't write short, let's be honest. I just finished a book 12 in a series, and I'm like, how do I distill this into a single sentence that somebody who doesn't read fantasy will not think I'm crazy? And it's like, okay, well, Lord of the Rings is really popular high fantasy, and everyone knows Starbucks, so that's where my mind went. And apparently it was a hit, so... The elevator pitch is always rough. Exactly. Well, and especially when, like, if I'm talking to you guys, I know I'm talking to other writers, I know I'm talking to other readers, I know I can go on this fantasy spiel, and I can talk about, you know, genre tropes, and I can talk about things that, you know, make sense to us all intrinsically, because we do this stuff, you know, we read, we write. Let me just make sure I'm not cutting off the clicky clacky can there. So I can start talking in terms of tropes and saying things about the fantasy genre, and trust that you guys will either know what I'm talking about because you're familiar with the fantasy genre, or B, if it's not your genre, you'll still know enough about it to be like, okay, they're talking about fantasy genre stuff. Whereas if I'm talking to someone who's not necessarily a big reader and doesn't necessarily have any, like, grounding in fantasy at all, they're gonna look at me like a crazy person. So it's another type of, like, brain-bending skill to learn how to distill your work down into a sentence that, like, everybody could potentially appreciate. Who are these cute looking characters? They look so animated and so cool. The ones on the stream? So if you're talking about this boy, this is Dameron. This is also Dameron. He's the main character in the Aravalia Chronicles. He's the one I was talking about before. He's on the BRB screen. And these were made by Mumbles, the lovely It's Mumbles. She did all of my emotes. Dameron is also in my bit emotes. So if you ever want to have him in your pocket, those are the bit emotes. And the other one, the one on the starting screen, is just me. That be me. But there is another one of my characters in my emotes, the new ones, the laugh and the shock. That is Rose, my character Rose, who is also in the Aravalia Chronicles and will eventually be getting her own, not spin-off series, but her own series in which she is the main character. She's my original character, the OG, the one who's been around the longest. She's been with me since middle school. And yeah, they were made by It's Mumbles, so I appreciate that you think they're so cute, because I think they're cute too, and I love Mumbles art, so please check her out. Let me see if I can do a shout out. I don't think it'll let me. Let me make sure I get the right amount of N's. Oops, sorry. Shout out It's Mumbles. She is a fabulous member of this community who does art streams as well as game streams, and she has done all of my emotes. She is amazing. I don't know if she's open to commissions right now, but highly worth working with her. She is amazing. It was a pack of characters, a blonde hair and a black hair. Oh, the ones on my blog? You mean, hang on. It's gonna play again. Let me switch my... So, there used to be this doll maker that I would use, to make a bunch of character avatars. You're probably asking about Silkfoot. This boy. This is Silkfoot. He's a pirate. He's also in the Aravalia Chronicles. Silkfoot Lightvolt. He's a charmer. So that is him. That who him be. And the other one was, you can kind of see that there's a bunch of them. There's the Rose one. And there's the Domarin one. That's Domarin again. The desktop background is from Tsubasa Chronicles, from Clamp. And then yeah, so these are my, and this is Asma, my sweet necromancer boy. You can find all of them on my blog. You can tell that I do, this is the Art Breeder Domarin picture that I did, which I spent like 3 hours on that. It's the closest I've ever gotten to making a like realistic Domarin picture. But you can tell that I basically make Domarin in every like character art creator that I find. So I have him in like 3 million styles. Like this one as well. I don't even remember where this one was from. I have a Rose one. There was someone else in the picture I edited out. You can tell. You can tell. And then I have the Wanted poster. So, yeah. And then there's a piratey Silkfoot. Yes, I did. Back in the day, I made a lot of Rinmaru models. And the nice thing was that they didn't mind if you use it on like your website and stuff, so I just would always credit them. So yeah, there we go. There's a little peek. You can also see that Domarin hates that this exists, but I found a My Little Pony character maker, and this happened. This is Woof's favorite thing in the universe. But as you can see, Domarin hates that it's a thing. But if Domarin was a pony in the My Little Pony world, this is what he would look like. Just so we know. So I did a bunch of my characters in the pony one. I don't know where the Rose one is, because there, the Rose pony. Because she's a princess, so she gets the winged unicorn one. I guess they're called alicorns. When we first introduced my friend Flutter's children to My Little Pony, they couldn't remember what the alicorns were called, so they dubbed them ultra ponies. That was amazing. And I have one of, there was a mermaid generator too, and I did one of Rose as like with the sea witch, because you know Ursula being my favorite, so I did one of Rose as like the octopus sea witch type character. So there you go. There's a peek at my character. Apparently I did one of Ephema. Nice. I don't even remember what this was from. Someone must have sent it to me and I made Ephema, apparently. Oh, it's League of Legends. That's why it says LOL. It was a League of Legends generator. That makes so much more sense. Anyway. It's like 1:45. Let's actually do some writing. Now I want to make a My Little Pony for Ryan, but he would hate me. Listen, I have no regrets. Domrin can hate me till the cows come home. I made him a pony. He lives in my head. It was my prerogative. I'm actually, since we're so late in starting, I am gonna bump my focus up from 20 minutes to 25, just for the day. Is my editing timer already 25 minutes? Is that a thing and I just don't realize it? No, it's 30. We don't need 30. We're gonna do 25. Someday I will learn a faster way to do this, but for now, I'm gonna do 25 minutes of focus. I've been writing 750 words while you've been talking, which means I'm done with chapter 1. Nice! Sophia, I'm so glad to hear that. Heading off to bed, it was fun. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm so glad you got your work done. I promise I'm usually a little bit more productive instead of yacky, but I appreciate you hanging out. Have a good stream rating session. I need to focus on getting some words down too. Good luck, K-Links. I hope the words flow for you. And without further ado, all right. You guys will learn clicky clack cam. That's what we're all here for, right? Is to watch my fingers move on the keyboard. To remember how to spell all my characters' own names. Hang on. sneeze. Sorry, guys. I hope that didn't peak the mic. Tried to lean as far away as possible. Oh my gosh, I apologize in advance if I say your name wrong, because my brain is not going to... Is it Allie Alexis Spriggs? Thank you so much for the follow! I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong. My brain did not want to divide the words. I almost said Al-Yael or something, and I was like, no, that's not correct. Allie, hello, welcome in. How are you doing? I did it! I'm horrible with names, in case you're wondering why that was such a big deal for me. I am not necessarily cold, which is why I'm dressed in all of this. I just like... I do get cold. I think it's partially because of my thyroid that I get really sensitive to hot and cold. But I also just really like all of this stuff. I like the hand socks, as my husband calls them. I like the house robe. I like the blanket. So I'm comfortable, I assure you. Oh no, Exiled Faye, is it almost the end of your shift? I am very comfy. I definitely am very comfy. Another hour. Oh no, Exiled Faye, I was hoping that you only had 5 more minutes left. Snack break sounds like an excellent plan. Not writing, going to sleep, very sleepy. Allie, thank you for dropping by. I hope you sleep well. Maybe the dulcet tones of my clicky clacks can help lull you off to sleep. But I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for dropping in. Your emotes are so cute. Oh my goodness. I love all these little hearts. Whoops. Oh my goodness, my brain is just not with the words. I don't have any emotes. Oh my gosh, what's this unicorn one? This is so adorable. I love these. These are all gifted subs, so that's awesome. NKD Luck. Hello, hello. Welcome in. How's it going? Thank you for the follow. Going to my writing session, so I'm going to be lurking on and off. Have fun and take care. Yumi, thank you so much for dropping by, for letting us know how you found me. I'm so happy that you're here. Good luck with your writing. I have some very generous friends too, so I have several emotes from gifted subs as well, and I appreciate all of them. I love seeing how people make use of the emote space, because as someone who's not an artist myself, I would not know where to start. Gatly, hello, hello. How's it going? Allie, enjoy your sleep. I hope you sleep well. Thank you. I'm glad you like the emotes. Those were made by my friend. It's Mumbles. Work today feels like a song. They don't stop coming and they don't stop coming. Oh no. But it's Friday, right? Exiled Faye, you get 2 days off after this. Every time more customers would walk in, I'd be like, "Grr, go away," especially if it was close to closing time, because empty meant we could close sooner. I feel you. I remember when I used to work at Starbucks and we closed at midnight and it was the worst. I'll be honest, most of my income does not come from my books. It comes from other things that my husband has set up in the world to draw us income. So I make a slow and steady trickle of money from both Amazon and Twitch. But if it was my only sources of income, I probably would have to have another job. Partially that's because I don't understand marketing, so I I take that with a grain of salt. But I do make some money off my books, and I'm happy. I'm happy for every sale, every page read. I'm happy that y'all are just here hanging out with me, interested in my stuff. What have I done to this sentence? Perfect. It is break time. We have done 1,131 words, and this I have written from the perspective of the Celestial Mother as the story of how she created Agas as a divine warrior. She started with the desire to make a champion of her own that the Reaper would not steal from her. She tried granting a drop of her blood to a mortal in order to make him her champion, and while it transformed him into a divine paladin, it did not grant him immortal life. She tried to immortalize her champions by passing on the name Agas, the name of her original champion, but this too did not work, as she always needed to find a new one whenever the Reaper stole them, and so at last she found a warrior already named Agas by his parents, who worshipped Elianath and her champion, and deciding that this was the hand of fate, she sent after this final warrior 9 beasts, reminiscent of the labors of Hercules, or Heracles, as I believe it is properly pronounced. And when he defeated all of these beasts, she drew him to her divine hall, poured into him the divine essence, and made him a god so that the Reaper could no longer steal him away. And this is, according to the tradition of the Celestial Mother, how Agas came to be divine. I think the telling of the story from Agas's perspective will be slightly different. This is living. Hello! I almost forgot how expensive groceries are, then I had a hard reminder because I'm trying to eat a more balanced diet and not just crap. Groceries are insane right now. I had a friend from Florida tell me that she's currently paying like $9 for a dozen eggs, which is bonkers town. So yeah, it's hard to eat at all right now, let alone eat healthy. So good luck. I hope it works out. I mean, I hope it didn't break the bank to buy some healthy food. I really hope it doesn't stay like this for very long, but we all think that, and here we are. I need 214 more words to defeat this thing in For the Words. You can do it, Exiled Fae. You have this. I know you do. I've written with you on For the Words, and I believe in you. Protein tortillas used to be like $3.50, and now they're $6. Ouch. I've already commented to Ghost a couple times in recent days because I can't eat dairy, so I have to eat a lot of lactose-free or dairy substitute stuff, and it's expensive. Like, they mark that shit up. If I want something that tastes like cheese but isn't real cheese, it's like $9 minimum for like this much. I'm vegan, so exactly. No, I feel you. I'm not entirely vegan, like we still eat meat, but meat is expensive right now too. Like, holy man, we're trying to eat more vegetarian, not just because it's slightly cheaper right now, but also because it's healthier. Like, we're trying to only eat a certain amount of meat, and like, even then, like, there are certain things that I have to have vegan, like I have to have vegan margarine because I can't have regular margarine or butter, and all that kind of stuff, like, and I have to have oat milk because I can't have regular milk, and it's expensive. It's stupidly expensive. So I'm very fortunate that we have the budget to purchase those things and use those things regularly, but it's not easy. If you have special dietary requirements right now, it is not easy. I'm up to 451 words for this chapter of my project, working on the scene of Keller and Nomi's first battle. Nice! Laurel, I hope it's going well. Oat milk in my area in the UK is cheaper than real milk. That's good for me, Gatley. That would be good for me. I feel like oat milk is a little more expensive than it should be because oats aren't that expensive. Like, they're growing it all at the same time, but there's a markup on it, right? I don't actually know how much real milk is, though, because I haven't drunk it in so long that we've not bought any in such a long time. So I don't actually know the price of regular milk. I just feel like oat milk, it should be less expensive than it is. My savior is rice and beans. I feel you. I was just looking, we have a giant thing of brown rice that we just bought. That's gonna be some dinners this week. Haven't had any vegan cheese in weeks, just doing without altogether. It has to be a real treat for me if I want fully vegan cheese. Super Train Station H, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome in. How's it going? A lot of times I do just go without cheese, or if I can get lactose-free cheese, but even lactose-free cheese is more expensive than the same size regular cheese. I didn't realize I was sticking my tongue out as I was writing, and now my characters are making fun of me. I have a friend who does that. Oat milk is mad cheap to make. That's the thing. So why is it so expensive? My brother is lactose intolerant, and I just got on the oat milk wagon since it's just as good. Right? I tried so many alternative milks. Neo, hey, how's it going? How you feeling? I tried so many alternative milks, and oat milk was the one that tasted the most like regular milk to me. It's just good. It's just delicious. So we've been fully oat milk ever since. We did have to use almond milk for a little while, because there was a shortage of oat milk in BC for some reason. I think supply stuff. It's definitely what we prefer, what we both prefer, because Ghost just uses oat milk now too. And I'm actually, because of the way that my medication has been screwing with my taste, I actually can't drink almond milk right now because it tastes kind of like sawdust. So oat milk is my jam. You're right, Exiled Fae, it is capitalism. But yeah, if you drink an alternative milk, you gotta find the one that works best for you, right? I have issues with almond milk that are also moral, philosophical, but right now I can't drink it anyway because it doesn't taste good to me. So I get nutritional yeast because it's kind of cheesy and it lasts a long time. I've heard that nutritional yeast is really good. I need to try it. On the subway, can't hear a word of what you're saying, but I'm sure the VOD will be lovely. I am doing pretty good, Neo. I was mentioning earlier that I just got a message back from my doctor. I think it was Wednesday night. I think it was Wednesday night because I went to the blood clinic Wednesday morning, and he has cut my dosage on my medication, which is a good sign. That means that I am doing well. So now we lower the dosage and see if my thyroid continues to behave. Did you hear if you're able to stop taking your medication? Did your blood test happen this week or is that next week? I can't remember. Fingers and toes crossed either way that you get good news on that, Neo. I recommend you get it from a store that sells bulk stuff because buying it prepackaged is expensive. I appreciate that heads up, and I will definitely look into that. Cause yeah, anything that's prepackaged and vegan, I feel like they just automatically bump the price up by like $2 or $3. Next week, I'm crossing my fingers and toes for you, Neo. I hope you get good news. I know the medication has been making you tired. Tiger Rights, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. How's it going? Let's get a shout out for the Tiger Rights. How are your words today? We've only done 1,000 words so far today. We've done a lot of chatting, but that's okay. I'm probably gonna take a quick break here in a moment after we get a chance to talk to our raiders. And then we will do more clicky clackies because we gotta get at least 2 sprints in today. It's going well. How about you? It's going great. We're just doing a fun little side project today. I'm working on developing some of the gods for my D&D, my homebrew D&D world. And today we're talking about the war god, who was actually a mortal, who was chosen by the Celestial Mother to ascend to godhood as her champion. So we're writing some interesting stuff about that. Mr. DeCat, hello, hello. How's it going? The words were good, a chapter this morning on breaking step, and on this afternoon for hope and coincidence. Nice! That's awesome! Been world building minor gods myself. Nice! I really enjoy creating my own mythology and my own pantheons. It's super fun. And when I did this one, I specifically sort of created a mix of different stories, right? So there's contradictions built into some of the myths where, you know, some people say this god did this, or some people say a different one did, or some people say it went a different way. Because if you look at real mythology, it is like that, because a bunch of local traditions were eventually sort of amalgamated together into the sort of stories of this one particular god or this particular pantheon. And so there's constantly like different versions of the stories, right? So I've tried to build that into the pantheon a little bit, and it's been super fun. Flutter, hello, how's it going, my dear? Most won't be in the story, so I'm not going super into it. That's fair. I skipped making a pantheon for my Aravalia Chronicles because I didn't think they would come up, like, at all, because none of the main characters are religious, even though I think there are, like, gods and temples lurking in the background. So if you don't think it's going to end up in the book, that's totally fair. The level of certainty you encounter in many fantasy stories definitely bothers me. Yeah, because I think even if you're working in a place where gods are real, like, people are going to embellish stories, people are going to get things mixed up, people are going to just make shit up, because how many gods are going to come down and tell them not to, right? Trying not to sink into the abyss today. Oh no, Flutter, was it a rough work day yesterday? I know, I feel bad because I have to get you up early for D&D tomorrow. Are you going to be okay for D&D tomorrow? Let us know if there's anything we can do to help. I'm going to take that quick break, like I said. For the people who are new, who came in on the raid, I am Megan Cutler, aka Starborn Striker. I write sci-fi and fantasy novels and do homebrew D&D stuff, obviously, since that's what we're doing today. Usually I am a lot more productive, because we're usually working on novel stuff, but today is a chill day, so I'm a bit more chatty than usual. We do 20 or 25 minute, productivity sprints and then chat in between. I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to do another 25 minutes of focus, so I might be a little quieter. Only those into smithing, and then there's no one left to tell stories about those. Be heading off to hunt down dinner. Tiger writes, thank you again so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed dinner. Thank you so much. I know I always need to grab food too at the end of my stream, so no worries at all. Gonna have a morning shift Monday after closing Sunday, so it'll be a thing I gotta get used to. Oh no, that sounds like the worst. You're gonna have so little time to sleep. I hope you don't have to do many of those. I remember doing that at Starbucks, where we would close at midnight and then you had to be there for an open the next day. And we opened at 8:30 in the morning. So guess how much sleep I got on those nights. Because you can't just go home from a shift and instantly fall into bed. You gotta, like, unwind and come down. So it's like, all right, I fell into bed at 3 o'clock, so I'm gonna be totally awake this morning. Good thing I work at a coffee shop. And my project, the Ethereals, are there and will interact with you, so it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about Fantasy World, is that the gods can interact if they want to. Made a male earth god and a minor female water goddess. Those are, their title as god is controversial. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Need a fancy pants name for a lady or she'll be Steve for the whole first draft. Lady Adronica. I came up with that off the top of my head. I can't do that for my own stuff, Exiled Fae. I can't usually do that. Day shift's all next week, so maybe I can fit in some more streams if I'm not totally wasted from the time shift. Fingers and toes crossed, Flutter. I really hope that it goes well. I know from our private conversations that those day shifts are in the position that you're more wanting to get into. So hopefully if you do some day shifts, they'll eventually be able to give you some night shifts in that area as well. My gods know that the humans exist, but the gods who have the knowledge of how humans work is in another universe, fighting a war against the beasts of chaos. So the gods are like, okay, these things are humans. They seem to eat things. They're weird. Mr. Decat, enjoy your lurk. Like I said, we're going to be doing productivity here in a few minutes. I will be right back. I'm back. I just need a second because I stood up and knocked a whole bunch of stuff on the floor. All right. My gods are terrible. They are the opposite of epic, yet humans love them because they are honest, even if they are very careless about humans. I mean, I like that you always have an interesting take on these kinds of, like a different take on these kinds of things from the normal tropes, Neo. That's what makes your stories so interesting. They can't lie. Interesting. I think your mythology is very interesting, Neo. You always come in here and you talk about these ideas and you're like, my ideas aren't very good. Your ideas are great. Give yourself some credit. All right. I'm back. I'm settled in. I got my comfy. I got my coffee. Wow. My brain just was like, you're going to say the same thing twice. All right, let's do 25 more minutes of this. Let me just get up one thing here to make this easier. Coffee is comfy, that is true. Flutter, enjoy your lurk. Enjoy what is about to be clicky clackies. To save myself a little bit of time today, I'm actually going to do a copy and paste of this and fiddle around with it instead of retyping it, because that will just save me a little bit of time. Oops. I'm sorry, I hope you guys can't hear that noise in the background. My tenants downstairs are being a bit loud. I'm gonna turn up the sound a little bit. Please let me know if it throws the sound balance off. I'm never entirely sure how sensitive my mic is. Hey, Art by Words. It's going well. How's it going for you? Oh no, Neo, is your internet not cooperating today? It feels like this has been going on all week. I beat the monster and I'm taking a break as it's almost quitting time. Nice! I knew you could beat the monster. Cheers, Exiled Fae. I'm good. Ready for the weekend? Art by words, me too. Holy man, this week has been so crazy. Sometimes crazy in a good way, because I was saying earlier I did a lot of extra like D&D stuff this week. That was fun, but I am ready for a break. I am ready for a brain break. Neil, I'm so sorry that your internet has been fighting you so much. I really hope it settles down. It seems like this is becoming a chronic thing. Have you contacted your internet provider? Do they have a solution for this kind of thing? Fighting a battle against two gods is hard? Yes. In book 12 of Arvalia Chronicles, some of the fighting got pretty dramatic because, you know, these characters have been at it a long while and they've got some epic skills now. So anything that involves, you know, anything on an epic scale can be tricky. Alright, we are very close to the end of this, so I might not run another sprint here to finish it off, but since the beginning of that sprint, we've done 1,372 words, so the first 582 of that were copied over from my source document and just updated so that they fit the tone for the blog a bit better. And so the second story of Agassi's origin, the one told from Agassi's perspective, is 790 words long, and we're almost at the end of that. And basically, like I said, there's a little bit of difference between how the Celestial Mother perceives this to have happened and how Agassi himself perceives this to have happened. In the case of the Celestial Mother, we have this goddess who wishes to preserve her champion, to have someone who is enduring, who serves by her side. And so she takes these warriors into her hall and names them Agassi and tries to create some form of immortality. And finally, out of desperation, she scours the universe of her creation for a warrior who is worthy of immortality. She tests him with 9 different beasts, and then eventually, when he passes all 9 of her tests, he takes her to his divine hall. She takes him, rather, to her divine hall, and she gives him divine blood and turns him into a god, and thus creates her eternal champion, Agassi. Whereas, from Agassi's perspective, he's just a simple warrior, just a simple hunter, living his life, and then one day descends to him this Celestial Mother who's like, what's your name? And he starts to say his name, and she's like, no, your name is Agassi now, and you're gonna be my champion, and I'm gonna test you. And he's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. And she just fucks off. And so 9 beasts she sends after him, and 9 times he kills those beasts and takes their pelts to her temple and is like, WTF, leave me the hell alone. And after the 9th beast, after the 9th test, at last the Celestial Mother comes to him, the warrior that she's renamed Agassi. She takes him to her divine hall and shows him that the world has, that the universe, that the larger universe has need of a warrior's skill. And even though he remains reluctant, he at last agrees and says, I will serve as your warrior, I will serve as your champion, and he is granted the gift of divinity, although it comes with a cost, the cost of the Celestial Mother saying, you have to serve me because I have given you this gift. But this is the part I haven't written yet. But Agas says, no, I must also serve those who worship me, and in doing so severs the first of the chains of his divinity. So there's definitely the perception from Elianath's perspective that she has given a mortal the gift of immortality. She has granted him her gifts, her attention, that he would by default be grateful for this, and would respond to her in a favorable manner. But from Agas's perspective, there's sort of this, I was forced into this. I am in some ways the slave to this woman because she wouldn't take no for an answer. And so it kind of establishes from the offset that there is a different perception between the two of them as to how Agas sort of came to be in service and what his duties actually are. Need to take care of the meat sack. Have a great rest of the stream. Catch you later. Exiled Faye, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I see that your workday is over. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And good luck with your wording over the weekend if you're doing words over the weekend. I'm not good at describing things like what a punch does or the effect of an explosion. I'm not good at that stuff either. I never get that stuff into my first drafts. It always comes later. It's hard, Neo. Writing is hard, as it turns out. The battle is very sad too because it's two gods in love with each other, like for real love. I don't know if I have the skill to write that sadness because they can't avoid this fight. I think when you need to find that sadness, Neo, it will be there. It will happen. If you reach deep into your thoughts and feelings about how you would feel if you lost someone you loved, you'll be able to put that emotion onto the page. It might take a couple tries, it might take a couple revisions, but it's there. It'll be there. You'll find it when you need it. You'll surprise yourself. Up to 620 words, Keller is about to attack the warp darkling that destroys his village, and Colton? Question mark is about to appear. Nice. It sounds like it's going well, Laurel. So yeah, I just have a little bit here to tack onto the tail end. I've basically stopped at the part where the Celestial Mother has taken Agas into her divine hall to show him the truth of the world. And so I think I just have maybe 200 or 300 words here to write at the end. About him accepting the divinity and severing the first of his chains. So we'll take a brief little break here to sippy sip some coffee and catch up with chat. And then I will just go ahead and free write that without using the sprint timer because I don't think it will take too long. Wrote 2,516 words for the stream. I think we're going to wrap up at under 3,000. But I'm pretty impressed with this. I'm pretty happy with this. Agas was kind of the one that I was most excited to tell the origin story of. Just because I think once we start getting into the story of Agas and the Celestial Mother and sort of this war between the Celestial Mother and the Reaper is when we start to get into sort of the meat and potatoes of the mythology, and being able to start telling stories about the interactions of the gods is something I've been looking forward to for this little project. We still do have several gods in the pantheon that we haven't talked about yet, and which I might not necessarily introduce as, you know, I might do some things with these three gods before I introduce the rest. But we have the seed matron called Taldar, who is the goddess of plant life, despite the Celestial Mother being the mother of sort of all life. She's sort of like Mother Earth, right? She changes with the seasons, and has various aspects depending on what time of year it is, although, you know, on a larger scale because this is cross-planetary. We also have the Lost One, who I haven't gotten a chance to talk much about yet, and I'm really looking forward to talking a little bit more about. This is sort of a mystery god. No one really knows what the Lost One looks like or what their natural form is. They're sort of like a shade, and some people think they might actually be a remnant of the Reaper. And this is sort of the... If you think of... So I've talked a lot before about the concept of the crossroads in mythology, this idea of liminal space, and thresholds and places that you encounter on the journey where things of significance happen or lurk. The Lost One is sort of the god of the threshold, the god of liminal space. This is sort of the deity of lost things or lost souls, the deity of finding oneself, of identity. To me, a very interesting concept, because the Lost One could be anything or anyone. And so the Lost One is sort of the most mysterious of the gods. And also, if you think something divine happened to you, but you don't know which of the gods did it, it was probably the Lost One. And now there's a new Lost One story. And yes, Flutter's character, Lizrin, worships the Lost One. And in exchange, the Lost One delivered onto her a very epic cloak for her druid class that allows her to better hide in plain sight while she is wearing it. So I'm looking forward to getting to do some more with her. And then we have Quiach, who is the Dragon Lord, I believe, the god of magic. He has a dragon form. His domains are the raw and destructive forces of fire and lightning. So he's sort of an elemental, not necessarily a god of chaos or a god of destruction, but a god of more destructive forces. So he is sort of sometimes set in opposition to Agos and sometimes set as Agos's ally. And then we have Emerald, the last of the gods that we probably won't save him till last to actually talk about. But he is our trickster god. He is a shapeshifter. So again, he can take many forms and be many different things or many different people. I think the difference between Emerald and the Lost One is that Emerald uses distinguishing characteristics to make it clear that he is the shifter, that he is himself. The Lost One can be anyone, anything, and does not necessarily take a form that distinguishes them as the Lost One. Which is what makes them so mysterious. But with Emerald, you usually know that he has visited you. You usually know, even if he has hidden in a different form or tried to disguise himself, at some point in time, he usually makes it known to the people he appears to who he is. Because he is the trickster, he is the incarnate of chaos. He is the one who is sometimes harmless, sometimes destructive, always playful, and sort of always causing trouble and changing people's plans. Because you gotta have a trickster god. You gotta have a trickster god for those rogues. Gotta have someone that the Chaos Goblins, like our friend Jay Chili, can look up to. So those are the rest of the deities, just sort of in brief. We'll go into each one of them a little bit more as we go through the Pantheon. But I'm really excited to get the first three introduced, because now I can start telling some of the stories of the political intrigue of the court of the gods. We can start writing about the Reaper's Fall, and some of the different accounts of, Agos's crime against the Reaper. We can tell it from the Reaper's perspective, we can tell it from Agos's perspective, and we can start to see how the stories change and embellish different details. So I'm really excited about that. And really, it's just nice to... we were talking earlier about how sometimes you create something for a story and you don't necessarily know how much of it is going to get used. I will say, because I don't think this is necessarily a spoiler, I have created what I call a muddied pantheon, a bunch of contradicting tales in the mythology that are passed around by the religious followers, but there is a correct version of the storyline. There is something that actually happened. I know what it is. I know what the correct version of events was. I know who's telling the truth. I know who's telling lies. And so it will be interesting over the course of the story, because I don't necessarily know what my players are going to interact with. I don't necessarily know which temples they're going to turn to, or which, sort of resources they're going to put stock in. And some of my players have chosen a patron deity to be attached to. Wolf's character Kai is a worshiper of Neith, the Reaper, so he has a very negative view of Agast, the Horned Warrior. And Lizrin, Flutter's character, has chosen to worship the Lost One. So that is possibly going to color their opinions and what they interact with. So it will be interesting to see what they uncover and what they believe is the truth of what happened between the celestial beings. So it just kind of feels nice to be able to take something that was a fun little side thing that I threw together as world building development and actually do something with it. Long-winded, I know, but I love doing this kind of stuff. It's one of my favorite things about writing, and I love that I can put this on my blog and share it with people who aren't part of the D&D campaign, and I can then take these legends that we're writing and feed them into the campaign and see what my players do with them. So it's nice. Chaos is my trickster deity. Her favorite prank is hiding in an inanimate object, such as a barrel or a spoon, and then she'll move and run around a said object when someone tries to pick it up. I love that. I love that. Imagine the stories that people have about inanimate objects just running amok. All right, I'm going to turn off our little break thingy. I'm just going to write these last few paragraphs, and then we're going to raid, because I got to throw dinner in the crock pot and feed myself. So, as we've talked about, not neglecting ourselves. Also, I'll put this out there for anyone who's lurking and maybe wants to chime in. We have some options for rating today. I believe our friend Flannelsaurus, friend of me and friend of the community, is doing an 18+ hour stream today. He is playing Paper Mario for Flat Friend Friday, even though the video is Flat Fuck Friday. It's not a productivity stream. I won't say it won't be chill, but it might be a little bit more high energy, not necessarily co-working. So we can pop in over there since he's doing a special stream and give him some love. Or if you guys want to keep having that chill productivity vibe, we will look and see who's writing and drop in on another writer and spread that love around and have some more productivity. So you guys let me know. I will see if anyone chimes in chat and says what they would like to do at the end of stream. But yeah, I usually try to always stick with the productivity and writing crowd, but when one of our friends is doing a special stream, sometimes I like to drop in. And Flanny has dropped in on us before and spread the love to us, so I would love to go over and visit his Paper Mario stream and just say hey. But you guys let me know while I do these last little bit of clicky clacks. Just gotta remember where I stopped. All right, that is where I'm going to end that story. That is 2,944 words, so just shy 3,000 for our stream here today. That last bit was 428 words. Not bad at all. If you guys have no objections, I think we're going to head over and say hi to Flanny, Flanosaurus. Let me know, last call, for if you would prefer a productivity raid today. Thank you for hanging out, Flutter. I hope you have a fabulous day. I'm continuing the conversation we had before the internet trolled me. I like to write things that are not good versus bad. I want a universe with nuance. Good can be bad, bad can be good, but almost good and bad doesn't exist. I have also said many times that morality is shades of gray. Good and bad are sort of... I mean, they exist, but it's rarely a question of good or evil. It's usually somewhere in between. So I like stories that have that kind of nuance, Neo. You have an objection to rating Flanny, or you just don't want me to end stream? If your objection is, I don't want you to end stream, sorry, but I've got to cook food to feed Ghost Pepper tonight and feed myself some lunch. I don't make the rules for this meat sack. I just have to obey them. It's what I like, but it's difficult to write. It is hard, because what do you do when there's no right answers? How do you portray that? No, don't end. Listen, I wish that I could stay with you guys all day. But I can't. I have to create food, and I will be away from my computer for at least 30 minutes making that happen. But also, I'm kind of done with writing for the day. The rest of the things that I have to do this afternoon are writing adjacent, writing related. But they don't involve any more actual clicky clacks. So I kind of don't have anything to share with you guys this afternoon. Watching me work in the afternoon would be horribly boring, and I wouldn't have much to say, unfortunately. But good news, I will be back next week. I'm only going to do 2 streams next week because the week after we are going away to visit Ghost's family in Ontario. This is our reschedule of our trip that we were supposed to take all the way back in December. So this is basically our Christmas trip, but it's happening at Easter. So we will be gone for most of 2 weeks, which means both of us will be away from Twitch for pretty much 2 weeks. So we are doing only 2 streams next week because I am going to need time to prepare for the trip, to do all the extra house cleaning and all the extra packing and all that stuff that's involved in a 2-week trip. So unfortunately, I will be taking a little bit of an extended break. But I am planning to be back on Tuesday afternoon to start edits for Arvalia Chronicles Book 7. We'll be starting edits for that hopefully around 2:30 PST on Tuesday afternoon. I'll have to wrap up before Winds of Chaos starts, but that's fine because I should be done by then. And I will be back again Thursday morning next week with more edits. So look forward to that. I apologize that it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind, but this is how trips always go. Just inject the protein in the veins directly. That would be kind of boring, wouldn't it, Neo? I've got this stomach, and I've got these taste buds. I gotta make use of them. But I have wished at times that I could just inject the protein into the veins directly, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes my gut would like that better. So yeah, I will be back for that. I will miss you guys while we're gone. But we have waited a long, long time for this trip. I almost said trick. We've waited a long time for this trip, and it will be good. It will be good to do it. Is Flanny not still on? I just talked up all this stuff about rating Flanny. Did he have to go? Did he have to go? Is he offline? OMG-ness. Oh, you know what? I think I misread it. I don't think it was 18 hours. I think it was 18 plus. I think I read 18 in honor as 18 hours because my brain is mush before I have coffee. He's not. But you know who is around? It's Glowworm. It's our lovely friend Glowworm. I think we'll go over and say hey to her. She is fresh back from a trip herself. I believe she and her partner Toast were in New Zealand. And she also is not doing productivity because she does not productivity stream. She streams games. In the short story I'm writing, my God of Earth is helping a mortal character prank her brother and his knights. That sounds super fun. I love that. She is playing, it looks like, Infliction. She does a lot of horror, survival horror games. She's super fun. She has also rated us several times to spread the love. So since it's Friday and we want to support some other friends in the community, we will go say hey to Glow. I keep forgetting not to copy the whole URL. Okay, there we go. Here are some raid calls. If you don't have my emotes, please feel free to use any emotes to spread some love over to Glowworm, who also, by the way, has super cute emotes, if you're wondering. Her Glow Wiggle emote is amazing. Please feel free to use any emotes, but if you have mine, feel free to drop them, especially that octopus cheering. As I said, I will be back next week. I will be mostly AFK for the weekend because I have D&D to run tomorrow, and then I'm probably just gonna sleep because it's exhausting to DM for 8 hours. But I will be back Tuesday afternoon and Thursday morning with some edits before we head off to Ontario. I hope that you all have a fabulous weekend. I hope you all have good weather, good words, good workflow. And that you just take care of yourselves and get some rest and relaxation. Thank you so much for today. This was lovely, and I feel just what I needed after a crazy week was just to hang out and chat with you guys. Thank you so much for the raids, the Tagger Writes, the Terrible Novelist, and to all of our new followers. We had so many today. Yumi, K-Links, Ali Alex Spriggs, NKD Luck, Super Train Station, and Mr. Decat. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Take care.